Well, after 6 months, it is finally time. It is playoff season here for the Bohlin Svenska Eracingligan's Oval Series for 2025. And we now just have 5 rounds left of the championship to decide who is going to be our series champion. It starts today here at Las Vegas for the round of 15, where we'll have here. Then in a couple of weeks' time, we go to Dover. Then we will lose 5 drivers. We'll have 10 remaining for Richmond and Michigan before we lose another 5 drivers and have the final 5 in the desert of Phoenix, Arizona. It's going to be a lot of fun between now and May over the next couple of months, where we will find out who our champion is going to be. Of course, the regular season ended in some dramatic fashion. It was an Alcantech 1, 2, 3, 4 as they pushed Jonas Gunnarsson to the top, and he was able to win the race, and with so booking his place in the round of 15. Perfectly timed from the Alcantech cars and amazing teamwork. Here's where we've been over the course of 2024-25. We started way back at Auto Club in August before going through various different tracks. We even had the road course at Indianapolis, a doubleheader at Iowa, and of course we had a couple of interesting tracks of New Hampshire, Darlington and Daytona to round out the regular season. But there on the right hand side, that is where we are, the Bright Esports Arena 400 here from Las Vegas, and I can't wait to see how this one is really going to work out, because we have a load of teammates here. Here is your top 15 drivers for the series. Of course, the ones at the top, they're going to be pretty sorted with the bonus points that they carry in. The likes of Jesper Eriksson, he's on 2,038, whereas Holmbom, he hasn't even got 2,000 points. Of course, all the points reset to 2,000, and then we have all the bonus points that come with that. The likes of Blixt, Gunnarsson, P8, P9 there, they managed to seal themselves through with a win, but what can they do? It's going to be very interesting indeed if any of the drivers, especially in those bottom 5 positions, are able to lock themselves in with a victory and push them through to the round of 10. That could be very interesting and shape up this championship quite a lot. Some big names might be going home. It's it's going to really sort of have us on the edge of their seats when we start to work out the maths and the points, and you have just 2 rounds, 2 races every round as well. Here is Linus Bruce, and then the 71 machine, of course. He is enjoying himself up towards the front of the championship, but he needs to chase down Jesper Eriksson. And this last year is where it all fell apart for Jesper Eriksson. To be honest, he had a great regular season. He won that by a mile like he has done this year, and then fell apart a little bit in the playoffs. It's myself, Cameron Roger, Ewan O'Leary alongside me, and Hugo Louise on the production of this RaceSpotTV broadcast as we bring you through all the action here from Las Vegas. And Ewan, what are you feeling coming into the playoffs here? It's certainly all up in the air with who could be at the front.
Yeah, I'm feeling that Jesper Eriksson's the only one who can feel safe, to be honest. You mentioned that there will be a few up top. I actually think it's only going to be Eriksson who's really going to be feeling comfortable up towards the top at the moment. 33 points above the cut line. Of course, anyone could get through at the end of the day, but as you say, it's only 2 rounds. You haven't got time to get settled here, and it's 2 pretty different circuits to go through these first weeks of playoffs. Las Vegas here today. In 2 weeks' time, it's Dover. Similar format, I suppose, to the round of 10 as well, which has got a shortish track and a mile and a half, with Richmond and Michigan to round off that season before Phoenix, short track end to the season. So similar formula to the 2 rounds of 2 rounds, if that makes sense. And I'm looking forward to it. But I'm feeling that Jesper Eriksson is the only one who's really safe in the top 10 at the moment.
And it's going to help. He's put it on the front row of the grid. He's got pole position for the first race of the playoffs. Got Jonas Gunnarsson, your winner last time out, locking himself into the playoffs, and once again showing some good speed there in second place. Aronson is in third, with Blixt, Solo and Forslund up there inside your top 6. Fagerberg, Hafliderson, Salander, Broström, Holmgren and Schott inside your top 12 as expected. Loads of big names up there towards the front. Fredriksson, Leppit, Uvenen, Alto, Peppels and Dan Holmer down there in P18. Of course, Holmer, he's P5 in the championship. He needs a good result today. Kenneth Tier, he's snuck himself in to the round of 15 as well. He's 14th currently, needs a lot of points today. Skoglund, Hagman, Wallen, Holmbom and Tidemo inside your top 24. Then we have Broström, Pfeffer, Eriksson, Bratberg, Vuderberg and Marcus Stiller as ever going from the back with Thomas Kinnell on the very last row of the grid. Marcus Stiller, he almost made it into the playoffs, Ewan, by doing the last to first challenge every single race. He was so close. But unfortunately, there was actually 4 drivers who were inside the 15 going into Daytona that then missed out, subject to all of the cautions and all the crashes.
Yeah, it was a pretty crazy race at Daytona, that's for sure, and it's sorted out the 15 drivers we've got here for these playoffs. Yeah, Stiller to still, though, have the 13th most points of anyone overall after starting from the back every single race is pretty remarkable. So it'll be nice to see him have another couple of good results before the end of the season, although it won't be a championship this time around. There you can see the bottom of your screen, the information with the stage on lap 70 and the usual 4 tyre sets with 2 green bike checkers available if we need them for one of the early opening times at this season. By the way, if we get a nice green flag run to start, it will be the longest time out in this season. If we can have a longer one this time round at Las Vegas, because we've not been great at seeing the green flag for the first time and then carrying on without caution for a while. We'll see how it goes this time round, though, as the anticipation of the playoffs gets to everybody here tonight, I'm sure.
Indeed, 166 laps of action, the stage on lap 70, but fuel is only going to be somewhere between 55 and 60 laps. That means also on the fuel number is basically a guaranteed 2-stop if it goes green, although I am pretty sure it's not going to go green for the whole of this one. Let's find out who is going to lead the charge as we hit the playoffs. The Bohlin Svenska Eracingligan's Oval Series has come to crunch time. Who is going to win this championship? The 37 is going to take us away from that front row. He's got a push in the background as well, and it's a great start from him as he works his way in towards turns number 1 and 2, but he's going to have to hold off a whole load of hungry drivers in behind.
Yeah, it does well to get in towards turn 1 and 2, just ahead of Eracingligan, who just slides up then in front of Jonas Gunnarsson as well on the backstretch, although Gunnarsson immediately looks below the 24, in towards 3 and 4, and that's just ahead of Eric Blix, who's got the best view of that. Forsland just sneaks in front of Daniel Solo as well, all playoff names, right up towards the front here at the end of lap 1.
And of course, look out on the tower for the yellow drivers. They are in the playoffs, and realistically, they are the ones who we are focusing on. However, non-playoff drivers, they can still win the race, of course. They can effectively take points away from the playoff drivers, and they can really get involved. And at the end of the day, they're a racing driver. They want to win every single position that they can. Certainly going to be a fun balance for how these playoff drivers actually battle with their fellow playoff drivers, but also the non-playoff drivers.
It's one of the great things that you always hear about in the NASCAR playoffs when you compare it to other American sports. When you're watching them, you don't see the teams that get knocked out of the playoffs while the playoffs are still going on. They obviously have to just watch. But in NASCAR racing and in oval racing, you can still compete yourself. You can still compete for race victories, and that will mean a lot to drivers, especially if they're not in the playoffs. It will really prove a point that they are absolutely, or that they will feel should have been in the playoffs, I'm sure. And it is a big statement, so they'll all be going for the victory, but you do worry a little bit about how aggressive they're going to be with playoff drivers, knowing that they're not quite in that fight. There is Tony Ivinen going backwards as he drops to 15th at the hands of Jonas Leppert there, in towards 14th, so just a change further down the field, but I'm glad to say that everyone's got off quite well. Jonas Skoglund and Marcus Hogman are the only drivers I can see having been in so far, although I don't know why.
Yes, it's been a very, very solid start indeed, and of course with the way the circuit is, no restricted plates or anything like that. We are going to be going pure racing, very fast track, quite a lot of banking here as well. We had a double header here last year as well. Very fun track, and it's very it's almost very narrow in some places as well, considering the speed that you take around here, but that is exactly the challenge that the drivers want. It's very hot out there as well, so that especially the rear tyres, we've been seeing it being a problem all season for these drivers, but these rear tyres are going to be a key factor in this race, especially if we get a long green flag run.
Yeah, it certainly is, because of that drop-off time we were talking about earlier on. How are you going to split this race up if we go green for a long period of time? Are you going to come in after, say, 45 laps or something, just to keep things a little bit different here, get on to a new set of tyres early on, because that will really give you a benefit if you come into the pit lane early and get out there on those new fresh tyres. You will gain some places as a result. There's a lot of movement going on here as Sebastian Tidemo tries to get himself up down the inside of Robert Ericsson here. He's been looking around for Dan Paypal's position up into the top 20. That's not quite happened just for the moment. Cedric Holbob just in front of him. Daniel Holmer just in front of him. Quite a low down position to find himself early on in this run.
And we've got Fagerberg going up there into 6th place, getting past Solo, dropping the number 13 down and out of the chain of drivers. So we've got the top 5 all playoff drivers, and then the rest of them sort of dotted up and down the field. So really a few drivers there having some strong starts. But the 31 of Fagerberg joining later on in this championship, but really showing some speed and maybe just trying to make a run for the championship next season. Maybe just trying to settle in and get comfortable with this car and see what happens in the next season, and maybe try and challenge up towards the front. We've got some jostling up ahead as well. Ericsson is slightly pulling away, only half a second for now, but is having a little bit more of a comfortable time, as he's got basically his sister teammate there, or Forsund, in 5th place following behind.
Yeah, so 5/10 of a second is Lee, but it's not as large as it got very early on in this race, by the way. He did get out to a bigger margin even than that in the opening lap, but Jonas Gunnarsson's just pulled that back a little bit now. Maybe now that he's stopped fighting with Ericsson so much. He got through on the opening lap. I'd imagine there was a bit of an argument, but then they've sorted it out. Now Eric Blick's just in behind them, but actually Forsund is almost alongside him. Then you've got Fagerberg, who, as you say, probably trying to prove a point, only making his 3rd start this season, by the way. That's why he was never a feature in our playoff discussions this season, building a bit of momentum maybe, as you say, for 25-26 perhaps for him, as he just tags onto the back of these guys. What will be concerning though is for Daniel Solo is just the way he's dropped like a rock here, not necessarily in terms of position for the moment, but he's been left behind by these guys pretty convincingly.
Certainly has. Is that a lack of speed? I mean, he has got his teammate Solander behind him, and then his other teammate Havlison as well. So it's not like he's out on his own. We do know the fuel saving could be quite crucial around here. The stage on lap 70, fuel on green about lap 55. It's going to be a stretch to save the full 15 laps, but if you're able to still save fuel and go longer, you might have a shorter pit stop at some point and jump your way up the field in some way. So there's definitely some strategic benefits still. And also, as I said, if we go green the whole way, you do need to save at least a couple of laps, because 55 times 3, you're going to be a lap short. So we definitely need to at least have a think about today. Plus, with the long stints on the tyres, as we mentioned, it is going to be one of those races where I think strategy is going to be key rather than just your pure speed.
Yeah. I'd want to be getting to lap 50 if we go green all that way. I feel that's a good place to find yourself in the opening run of this race. You know, it gives you a little bit of wiggle room later, but also it might see you come in earlier than some of the others. Now, they might try and outflank each other, if you like, in terms of trying to make early stops here, and you could see guys coming in even after 40-odd laps, but I think that could be a little bit early, and you could be caught short slightly with tyre sets. It does make it so different when you've only got 4 tyre sets to choose from here. It does sort of prevent you from doing that slightly, but I think I'd want to be going to lap 50 at least, just to keep those tyre options open later on and make sure also that you're going to get to the end on fuel as well. Meanwhile, you mentioned that Solo's got 2 teammates behind him. Well, it's a good job he does at the moment, because he's got a right queue just behind that. And I think at the moment, Solander and Avulson are basically going to try and do his defending for him as much as that's possible here in this 7th position. They're losing heaps of time, but they are playing the team game early on.
Yeah, I'm not sure quite what their strategy is. They're really slowing down. I mean, Solo is so slow compared to Fagerberg and the leaders up towards the front. Look at this absolute cluster behind. It's really interesting part of the race, actually, because when drivers aren't going their full speed, it's a little bit harder to predict in some ways. But here comes his Broström in the 71 machine, one of the playoff drivers, trying to slide his way through up the inside. He's got Havlison. He's now trying to get Solander, as now Solo maybe on the exit is going to be his next target down this front straight away. It's sort of a kind of tri-oval section, always turning as we come in towards turn number 1, and the 71 should have that one stuck. So yeah, I do think The Alcatech cars are playing the long game, and now it is the duty of Brotum to try and chase down the gap ahead, but it's up to over 3 seconds as everyone's wiggling around, trying to fight for some space.
Yeah, this is strange strategy at the moment from Daniel Solo and his teammates. They worked so well together 2 weeks ago that maybe they think sticking together again here is going to work just in the same way. Well, I'm afraid at the moment it certainly isn't. He is really struggling out there. It looks to me as if he's not quite trying 100% at the moment. I think he's holding quite a lot back on tyres. That's just from visually looking at him. I don't know that, but it just looks to me like he's not pushing that car. Oh, and it's Flitterson making contact with Oscar Fredriksson, who is the next one to try and come through on these guys.
We are 2 by 2 around this, not something you see every day, but when you get slower drivers up towards the front, it backs everyone into each other. It's such an interesting point of the race, because this could easily bring out a caution, and that could change things very much so. That might, take away the need for all this saving that we're seeing that is causing this backlog. But it looks like the Alcatech are still trying to stay in that 3-wide formation, or 3x3 formation. They've got Solo being pushed by Hafliton and Salander there as well. They're trying to drop down, so they are definitely playing that game together, trying to do the same thing, but Brostrom already pulling away from them, just showing the difference in speed. And as we come across the line, it is going to be quite a bit difference in speed, actually. It's over half a second so than leaders.
I do get the tendency to want to save tyres here for Daniel Solo, and it looks like that's exactly what he's doing, but the risk for crashing back here is monumental. This is not where you want to be as a playoff driver, and Hakan Schott is experiencing that at the moment, by the way, on the outside line as well. Kenneth Tier's in here, Cedric Holmbaum is in here as well, Daniel Holmer. This is not where you want to be as a playoff driver at all, and Daniel Solo at the moment is willingly walking himself into all of this, and the risk versus reward there is not quite adding up for me.
Yes, I agree on that factor, but it is still going green though as we go on to lap 19 already. So this is a very long opening green flag run, as you mentioned in the formation lap view, and often we've had 0 laps before we see the first caution. This is going along rather nicely indeed. The drivers, maybe as they get to the sharp point in the championship, we are seeing some close battles, but maybe just taking it into consideration that we are into that playoff season. Who knows? But we are continuing on a green flag as we hit lap 20.
We're going well so far, which is good to see. It's nice to have some long green flag ones. We only had 3 cautions of the whole of the race 2 weeks ago, by the way. It was a very, very exciting Daytona finale to our regular season. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Plenty of changes in the cut-off line for the top 15, and a win-in-your-in situation as well for Jonas Gunnarsson, who is now making use of that up inside the top 2 at the moment. Meanwhile, this is still all going on here. Michael Ferguson's now inside the top 10, Solo down to 11th. Uvenen going side by side with Joel Wallin, just in the background of Lucas Holmer in here, in the mirrors of Lucas Holmer in the 021. This group, by the way, going right the way down to 27th, and Marcus Stiller, who's making his way through from the back again.
Excuse me, he's certainly doing very well, isn't he, Stiller, this season. He just likes to slowly but surely work his way forward. He's often played a bit of the strategy game as well, staying out, trying to get that track position when some of the leaders start pitting, and hoping for a caution to confirm his place there at the front. So he knows what he's doing in that regard. As you mentioned, 13th in the points, almost getting into the playoffs. If it wasn't really for the Alcantech guys coming in midway through the season, and 3 of them winning races and locking themselves in, he would have had it if not for that. As Uvenen and Wallin, they got so close there through turn 3, but Uvenen's actually got good momentum around the outside, but just slightly blocked off there by the car ahead of him.
To make it even more painful for Stiller, by the way, if they hadn't worked so well together 2 weeks ago, he still might have made it, even with Alcantech present in the series. So yeah, he got very close indeed. Wallin and Uvenen have been going side by side for ages, and now they might be able to sort it out. Uvenen on the outside finally does get clear, and that's all just for 14th place here in this big queue that I don't think Daniel Solo is really responsible for anymore, although he certainly started it. He's just buried in the middle of it now, and it's a real mess, really, from Linus not Brostom anymore, excuse me. It's Oscar Fredriksson, actually, who's got to the head of the group now. They're kind of getting away. Then there's Jans Leppert, who's then at the front of this group. It's very bizarre. Solo seems to have picked up his pace a little bit, but now he's in the middle of the pack. I don't really understand. But anyway, it's very lively. Good to watch. Not what you expect to see, though, in the opening 25 laps of an important race like this one.
And the crazy thing is we're already over a second off the fastest laps of these drivers as well. So the pace drop-off is big just in the opening 25 laps or so. So yeah, he times that by 3 or just a bit less for the stint length, and yeah, we are potentially going to be going to almost 3 seconds a lap slower. So if anyone does want to make some sort of early pit stop and risk something on the strategy, they will literally drive around the outside of these cars. Such as the tyre wear on these Xfinity cars. Here's Bohlin still on the inside of Uvenham. They've been there for a good couple of laps now, just showing that the side-by-side racing is actually pretty good on this track. It seems possible with any line still to have a good run through this corner, through these corners. But side-by-side they go in towards turn number 1. Uvenham's still using that high line rather nicely. This is for that P14, P15 battle.
They've been fighting over it for a very long time, these two. Bohlin and Uvenham still going. Oh, someone in the wall back there. Or was that just quite close out of turn number 2? It might have been in the wall. Bohlin again sends it in, this time to turn 3. It's not quite on that white line where you want to be. Down the inside there, if you're trying to give space to someone on the outside. Uvenham's going to get a run on the exit and he'll get his nose ahead by the start-finish line. So we might see a bit of as we get towards the end of this race. If we get a side-by-side battle to the line, you'll see them diving down low and using the apron. If it's run towards the line, it's not as frowned upon as it is at the super speedways, although it would have been allowed 2 weeks ago had it been required. It's the done thing round here, and actually in normal driving you might see some people down there certainly a little bit later on in the day. Uvenham's held off Bohlin for now though, and now he's working on Holmerin, who's not quite going to give him the room on the outside there.
This is a lovely battle, just showing you when you follow a battle like that for a couple of laps, as we did, you really see how you have to sort of work it and work it and work it every single corner. And it's not one of those things where in other motorsports where you just come up behind someone, you send it down the inside and you go past. Here is lap by lap, it's inch by inch. You get a little bit further side by side, a little bit further side by side before you can eventually get through. It's a very interesting way of racing. And see Holmerin here holding that inside line. Uvenham trying something on the outside, but Holmerin just going to slide up in front of him. So a little bit of a switch for Uvenham as he goes to the inside line momentarily, but not quite close enough to dive. No overlap or anything, and Holmerin does block that one off as well. And then you see that meant he has to then jump up a little bit high as well. So they go left and right, getting so close bumper to bumper. Now Bohlin gets the run down the back straight.
Yeah, Uvenham's got one of those car behaviours at the moment that almost looks like he's sliding his way through all the corners, but he's actually okay. He's just looking a tad bit on the edge of loose, maybe, out of some of these corners at the moment. He's holding it well, though, at the moment, as Daniel Solo gets overtaken now by Holmerin. Uvenham's going to try and follow as quickly as possible, but that's going to be easier said than done. Solo is putting up a bit of a resistance sometimes to these overtakes that are being made, but for whatever reason, it's not able to stop it at the moment or increase his speed. So his gap to these guys continues to increase.
Certainly does. I've just noticed at the front, by the way, Ericsson has been caught by Gunnarsson. Gunnarsson got actually within a tenth of a second at one point recently as well. So just to let you know, that battle isn't going anywhere anytime soon. The top 5 are basically bumper to bumper. But of course, they've dropped Fagerberg now, but they got a bit of a gap behind to Oscar Fredriksson as well. So those are top 5 playoff drivers in control. But this battle in the midfield is also very, very interesting, of course, for how the points are going to be distributed. We're on to lap 31 now, coming close to halfway through the stage, and it's certainly, been a very good opening. Actually, wasn't this lap 31? Isn't that what you said for the longest green flag run of the season?
It is indeed. It is the most amount of kilometres without a caution all season. That's just over 350 kilometres. Without a caution, we might be able to have one. Just see someone in the grass. We get away with it, do we? No, not quite. Kenneth Tier has to lock it up, and he does save it. One of our playoff drivers, by the way, in number 49, going for a big slide out off of turn 4.
Oh my word, just when we're talking about it, on the very lap of lap 31, Kenneth Tier, as you say, has a big moment, and then he had a second moment as well as he got to the pit exit, but was able to gather it back up. Here's the replay of what happened. He's all on his own. He's just sliding the rear ever so slightly, and it just kept on going on him. He couldn't quite save it. In the background as well, oh my word, were they coming into the pit? They know they weren't. Maybe Thomas Cannell or one of his teammates in the background. That was a big one. Might have been Pfeffer, actually. They were having big moments too. So the drivers are struggling out there, and that just shows you how on the limit all of these drivers are. If multiple drivers in the same corner are just spinning up the rear wheels.
Yeah, and I noticed it with Uven, and I mentioned it at the time. It just looked like he was getting quite close to getting loose. That's how close these guys are. They're just modulating the throttle. They're being very careful indeed. Jonas Gunnarsson's looking a bit more racy now as well. I thought he was going to try and get a run off of 2 there, but not quite. And he stays behind. At this stage, to be honest, I think these guys running as a 5 is a good idea. I wouldn't be making any moves in this group at the moment. And only one of these drivers, to be honest, in the top 5 is really benefiting in sort of a surprise way in the points as well. Edvin Forsland starts the day below the cut-off line. He's the only one of these 5 to do that. Forsland, with no playoff points, or at least any penalties he got throughout the season, has cancelled out any playoff points if he got any. So he starts the day below the cut-off line, and he's really benefiting from this. But the way I would think about it is very simple, to be honest. You've got 15 playoff drivers fighting for 10 places in the next round. Just beat 5 of your playoff rivals in both of the rounds, and you should be fine as a general rule. People like Cedric Honbom and maybe even Forza might have to think a little bit more deeply about where they finish in regards to everybody else. But realistically, just beat 5 of your rivals on both days, you should be fine.
Absolutely, as there's Uven slide in the rear once more, coming through turn 4. There's a little tap of the wall there. I think that might have been Dan Solo in the 13 machine. But yes, you're right. If you finish inside the top 10 in both the rounds, in theory, yes, you should be okay. But of course, it depends exactly on the points, because there are a few drivers who are, obviously, maybe 5-10 points ahead of another. So that could be some crucial positions when it comes down to points per position. If you can get 5 drivers in between you and someone else, that is going to be very important indeed. We come back to this top 5 battle. So it's continuing on. Less than a second for all of these drivers. As mentioned before, they've dropped Elliot Fagerberg in the 31 machine, and these guys are pushing each other. The fact that they are this close to each other, similar to how we saw with Solo about 20 laps ago, I think Ericsson isn't going absolutely flat out, the fact that they can all follow him. But it's very interesting that they're all doing the same speed at this point.
It is. But although not unexpected, actually, since they set off at this speed, I'm not surprised that they've kept it like this, to be honest. But it is a surprise that you have 5 like this just setting off at the same speed and riding away from everybody else just so simply. Here is Gunnarsson again. Now then, we're going to see some moves. We're approaching 1/4 distance, approaching 100 of the 400 kilometres this afternoon. And Jonas Gunnarsson finally wants to take the lead and wants to disrupt Jesper Eriksson. If they want to get close to him here in the round of 15 and take some points away from him, then they're going to have to do it early. And Gunnarsson is certainly doing that now on lap 39.
And Gunnarsson, who of course won the championship a couple of years ago, he had the number 1 on his car, and he's trying to come back and get it for another time. All contact, Aronson down the inside. Contact with the 37, he saves it just about down that back straight. Took about half the back straight to get it back in line. The 37 continues on in that second place, so just shows you elbows out racing here. These guys are fighting for Ericsson though. I wonder if he's starting to struggle. He's going a little bit wide there in turn 4. He was very close to the wall coming into turn 1 last time as well, so really pushing the limit.
I'm not sure if it's him starting to struggle or everybody else starting to fancy their chances a little bit here, but that contact there from Aronson and Eriksson really isn't worth it for Aronson, I wouldn't say. I mean, Jesper Eriksson could finish last today, and I still don't think he would be below the cut-off line. He's got such a big advantage over the rest, but Aronson really could have his whole season derailed with a 31st place finish here at the end of today, so I wouldn't be risking that kind of contact with him. But anyway, they get away with it this time round. And Eriksson stays second, ahead of Aronson in third. Eric Blixwell that just start to size up his opportunities now from 4th. Edvin Forsland still hanging back in 5th for the moment, but Eriksson's taken that moment on to just regroup and go again at Gunnarsson, who's only a 10th and a half further in front at the moment. And Eriksson's certainly closer to Gunnarsson than others are to Eriksson at the moment. He's certainly looking to earn that lead back again.
He is, and it's interesting that since that contact, Aronson's dropped off a couple of car lengths. They haven't been able to catch that one back up in the draft, so they need to try and work that way, their way back forward. We've been seeing some battles on the tower, so this is Leppit, Haflidsson, Fredriksson. They've been swapping around a little bit. Holmerin gets past Salander down the front straight as well, so there are movements in this midfield, and by no means are these drivers that we're seeing here out of it by any means, just because the strategy still needs to be worked out, and of course cautions could come at any point. Here's Leppit and Haflidsson once more, swap positions a couple of times, but now number one gets back up the inside.
Yeah, he's through the final two corners. Haflidsson up into 8th place in the number one, Leppit 9th, then Oscar Fredriksson, Joel Bohlin, who is 11th as well. So they jump in towards turn number one again. They are lingering at the same distance they were to the leaders beforehand. So while they were stuck behind Solo, they were losing time, but they're not gaining any. Now that they're past him, they're just sort of staying where they are. These are the guys that sort of need a caution already in this race if they want to win. They can't afford for it to go green the whole way. Otherwise, they will stay at least 7 seconds further behind. Haflidsson's getting away from them, though. Just a couple of car lengths pulled in the last couple of laps at least.
All pit stops. Pit stops is Dan Holmer, who, of course, is 5th place in the championship. He was down a bit further than he would have wanted. He's going to come in at this quarter race distance. So he is going to be, if he continues on with that, he's not going to have a fresh set of tyres should we get a late caution. But he is going to get an undercut, and he is going to try something different. The first driver really to try and do something. Let's see how it works out. These drivers in the front, surely they're going to stay out as long as they can. They've got the track position, and they've got the speed over the midfield. I mean, they're already 8 seconds ahead of 10th place.
Yeah, I'd be very much aiming towards the end of the race, especially for guys like Ericsson, who are, just thinking about those end of race points more than anything else. I would be if I was him, because he's so far above the cut-off line, and that would mean pitting on lap 56, something like that. That would be about 1/3 distance, 55, 56. So another 10 laps to go for these guys, and that way you can still keep a set of tyres back for the end. As you say, if there's a caution in the last 40 laps and Holmer's used all his tyres up, he's going to be eaten alive on the restart. So he is taking a gamble, but probably feeling with him so far back at the moment that taking a gamble is better than keeping the status quo that he's got at the moment.
It's true, the race looks pretty calm. If we stay green to the end, what's he going to do back there? He's never going to gain that time on pure pace. So I understand in his situation why he would try that. But of course, it's a risk, and that's why qualifying and the opening couple of laps of the race is so important. In the background, is that Pfeffer? Because I remember, it was Canel, yeah, wasn't it last time in Daytona? He went, especially in the last part of the race, the number 14, was going into the wall so many times as he was letting some of the faster cars through. It was a bizarre situation. I think he was just looking in the mirrors too much.
Was it Canelo? Oh yeah, so Canelo's just in the background. Pfeffer's just about to be lapped now as Haflidsson's flying past Brostrom. Yeah, well, it was a bit weird last time out, but we got away with it 2 weeks ago with him, people hitting the wall while they were being lapped and so on, and we got away with it, so hopefully we do today as well. As Eric Blix versus Alexander Aronson goes on in towards turn number 1 and 2. Blix feeling that the front two might just slip away if he doesn't get into second and chase them himself, and Aronson is trying his best to make sure that doesn't happen at the moment. He's stuck on the outside though, and Blix is going to fly through on the inside line up into 3rd place.
Blix is always that sort of dark horse driver he's always at the front. He doesn't always necessarily lead the race. He sits in these strong positions, but he's just always there and always as fast, and I wouldn't be surprised today if he works his way to the front and gets the race victory. I think that 95 is a big championship contender that needs to get the job done. He came halfway through the season, he got himself locked in, and now he's got to try and find his way basically to the front and gain all of the playoff points on Jesper Eriksson. Or, of course, he could just go out and win all the races, and then the points situation doesn't matter as we come on to lap 50 of 166.
Just to go back to your Holmer point from earlier on, by the way, he's the only driver so far to have come in to change a set of tyres, so I do understand why he wants to change things up because he is so far back down, but just feel a bit early for that, really. As I say, not even any non-playoff driver with sort of nothing riding on this race has even tried it yet. But he's one of the playoff drivers who, as you said earlier, comes into today 5th place in the point standings, which is only 5 points above the cut line. But even so, he comes in with a very strong position. It does kind of feel like he's throwing Hail Marys in the second quarter at the moment.
Yeah, I like your point on the fact that no one else really comes in, although Knell is in. And also the important factor, he's now a lap down. So he could get stuck a lap down, and he's not the first driver as well. Pfeffer's in front of him, so he could get stuck a lap down. So big risk there from the Sim Race Sweden entry, the number 79. But let's see if it works out. We're having a long green flag run. We've had quite a few in the last couple of races. As Ericsson looks racy once more. He wants to lead back. He goes down the inside of the 33. Oh, they rub doors as they come through turn 2. But the 33 stays strong on the outside, keeps the momentum on the back straight. Just showing how he's not going to give up on this one just yet.
Yeah, very strong for him to do so as well, because Jesper Eriksson can throw caution to the wind here a little bit with his advantage. Gunnarsson doesn't have that luxury. He would really like to win here today to go into Dover with more of an advantage. That, meanwhile, is Elliot Fagerberg getting spun round a little bit there, and he's very lucky that he didn't cause a caution there, or indeed get spun onto pit lane, which would have caused him all manner of problems. He gets himself back onto the circuit in the end and drops outside the top 10, but he is at least pointing in the right direction. Meanwhile, Eriksson's going for it again.
Certainly is up the inside this time. He gets it done through 3. Turn 4 easily gets into the lead. The 33 is a slight up and under, actually. He has the run. He's going to go down towards the apron as we come to the line. Eriksson leads over the line, but in towards turn 1. The 33 has the run, has the momentum. Lovely battle between these two drivers. Respectful, hard racing, but respectful. The 37 is going to keep his foot in it round the outside as we come down the back straight.
Well, this time round, will Eriksson use that nose in front in towards turn 3 and 4 just to finally get a car length in front? Again, side by side, again close to contact. Gunnarsson had to back out of it that time round. If he went any higher, any more aggressive, he would have gone straight into the side of the 37. He couldn't afford that, and so dropped behind him. Meanwhile, something else I've been noticing, by the way, look at where Daniel Solo is all of a sudden. Suddenly got all the speed now that he's been conserving his tyres, and now he's helping to 8th place.
So just for reference, lap 55, this is what we were told was approximately the fuel tank number at normal driving, but we have seen a lot of saving, so let's see how far these drivers can get. And as you're mentioning, in this driver, the 13, possibly saving the most in that opening 20-lap stint where we saw him really dropping off. I mean, he still dropped off 7 seconds.
Oh no, contact! Bohlin, Joel Bohlin was definitely one of them. I'd be amazed if that's not a caution. It is.
And that is important timing, Ewan, because this is bang on 1/3 distance, and this is the fuel number that we were talking about. Be careful with that rejoin, everyone else coming through. But yes, you're right, the 43 into the wall, spins around, and brings out the first caution of the playoffs.
Here it is. We're pretty much exactly 1/3 into the race, as I'm sure we'll talk about in a moment. But this is what happened. Joel Bohlin on the outside line gets hit there, driven straight into by one of the Sim Race Sweden cars, who actually takes out Holmerin, one of his teammates. He was completely innocent. Who drives straight into Bohlin there? I can't quite see.
Is it the 79 of Holmer, 1 lap down?
Oh, it might be.
Which is a little bit too far away from that camera angle to see. But that would be a very interesting one if it is a lap down drive. If it's not Dan, I apologise to him. But let's see what that is. This brings out a caution, and ironically, it locks him a lap down, as we were just mentioning. And it's easily going to be fuel time for all these drivers. No reason at all to stay. It was the 79. He's a lap down, and he comes up high into Bohlin and collects his sister teammate of Holmerin as well. The last 10 laps have not gone the way that Holmer would have wanted.
And that's entirely self-inflicted. The fact that he's trapped a lap down is entirely self-inflicted. Now, he will be able to get the wave around here. He and Patrick Pfeffer have stayed out. Pfeffer will go around with the free pass. and Holmer will surely stay out this time, or he should do, stay out this time and get the wave around, get back on strategy with everybody else, but he could be in a bit of trouble later. We'll get back to that though, because the pit stops are on. Ericsson right in that bottom pit box. You can see this will be the race off. Who's going to win at the race off pit lane here? Watch for the purple car of Gunnarsson to be coming up here, but Ericsson's got the last box. He's going to easily make it. Then it will be Gunnarsson just ahead of Blix, then Aronson.
Yeah, Blixt, I think making a spot there, but looking very nice indeed, sitting pretty in that third position. As you see, everyone on that lead lap coming down, as you would expect, with it being basically on the pit number. Very perfect timing with the pit stop there. So what it means is if we get this again, we can still get to the end on one more, or is on the limit of getting down on one more stop, so they can do it. They're not forced into a two-stop from this point, so that is going to be very interesting. We've got a couple of drivers ahead of the Ericsson, who, as you say, should get that lap back.
Yeah, you'd imagine, by the way, that everybody will be able to do it on one stop if there is no more cautions. The fuel they would save under this caution would, in fact, probably do the fuel saving they'd have to do for the race, I would imagine, under this caution. Expect it to stay out for at least one more lap, maybe two. Yeah, probably going green this time round, actually, as the lights go off, do they? And everybody gets side by side. They will do at some point. So the two up ahead there getting the wave by was indeed Daniel Holmer and Thomas Kinnell. I think Kinnell might have been 2 laps down, actually, when the caution came out, because he's still 1 lap down on my screen. So I don't know what that's all about. But anyway, that is him getting one back with Holmer, who's involved in a caution again. I have to say, unfortunately, he's been involved in quite a few this season around. I won't mention them all, but he has been involved in a couple. He is saved, though, by this caution, and he's back on the lead lap again. He can't make it on one more stop, though.
Yes, so Kinnell, he only pit 8 laps ago. So he, like Holmer, made a green flag pit stop, which lost him that extra lap. He was already having a bad day by that point. Then he lost that extra lap effectively from the pit stop. So yes, tough one indeed. But a third of this race has passed, and it was almost like a stage with how perfectly timed that caution was. But we will come back to green flag racing. We've got Jesper Ericsson, Jonas Gunnarsson on that front row like they did at the start of this race. But who is going to get the jump as you go onto fresh tyres and another tank of fuel to go racing once more here at Las Vegas? This is the Bright Esports Arena 400, and it's a solid start there. Let's see if they are going to be able to work their way into a single file formation. Is there going to be some fuel saving as Blixt actually has a good run, gets up the inside of his teammate?
Well, how are they going to work it out? As I suspected, it's going to be working it out single file pretty early on. So the front 5 are going to work themselves out as they were before without Evan Forsand. So it'll be a front 4 instead. Forsand dropped back even behind Daniel Solo. In fact, they were briefly side by side. Brostrom and Hafliderson, meanwhile, are actually side by side, just in the background. And on the inside, Brostrom will prevail. Aronson will try and come through on the inside line here of Gunnarsson, who lost that second place to his teammate. Now he's going to lose third as well.
Oh, certainly has. Gunnarsson not the best start he would have wanted. Yeah, Forsand, he was 1 second slower on pit road than most people around him, but his pit stop time was fine, so he obviously had a bad pit entry. Let's see the 33 go back up the inside and get and regain that third position that he had. Aronson down into 4th place, but look behind. Aronson's teammate, Linus Brustrom, that was perfectly timing on the caution, really brought them back. There was a 7-second gap. They are now back within it. It's the 24 gets up the inside once more. They're swapping position every corner right now.
They certainly are, and it's going to happen again here because Gunnarsson dips very, very low out of turn number 2, and he's going to have a run on the back straight again. He's not going to get there by the end of the straight, though, in towards turn 3, so Gunnarsson has to stay behind. Top 7, all playoff drivers as we edge closer to the stage. By the way, this time round, not sure if we've mentioned it too much so far, but it's lap 70 here at Vegas. We are only 8 more laps away.
Certainly are, and those extra points are going to be crucial for these playoff drivers. The likes of Forsand, he lost out positions at a crucial time. Could have had a nice 5th place finish, but instead, Brostrom, Solo and Fredriksson, 3 playoff drivers, have got ahead of him. They could be crucial points later on in this playoff. Of course, it's only 2 races per round, And in a couple of weeks' time, we'll be back racing once more at Dover for the round of 15 to finish. You don't have very long to get those points.
No, you certainly don't. Oh, hack and shot. One of our playoff drivers off the road, down off of 4, back on again. He won't be getting any playoff points at the halfway, but he's still in the race at least. 19th, he gets back on.
Yeah, that is an interesting moment. We've seen it a couple of times. You get loose off 4 and you go straight over the grass. And of course, you have the like the Legends circuit as well, with a couple of tarmac bits, which is always very awkward when you go from grass to tarmac to grass. It's very easy to spin the car at that point. You go a little bit further down. This is Fortune. He's now actually dropped outside of the top 10, and it's his teammate Holmbom, who is actually a playoff driver as well in the 10 machine. He gets through. So Fortune really struggling through that pit stop sequence, and now getting back up to speed.
He's needs to do it quickly, because as you say, he is below that cut-off line at the moment, and the guys who he's chasing, like Solo and Halber's not here today, so he'd be going for a win, I suppose, or nothing at Dover, but Solo in particular is ahead of him right now and getting points, so he's going to be chasing him. Gunnarsson as well, Blicht, they're gaining points on him at the moment, so he just needs 1 or 2. Holmbom is even in the top 10 now. He moves through into 9th place at the expense of Andre Solander. Now Forsen is going to hope that prevents him with a chance to get in the top 10 as well.
Lap 66, 100 to go, moves being made, and Forsen's, he's really trying to get back up, isn't he? But he's just in a bit of a tricky situation right now, as he's trying to get through on these 3 cars. It's such a tough battle. He gets past Solander, back up into the top 10. We now have 9 playoff drivers inside the top 10. They are really, the cream rises to the top, and they're really working that out nicely. Holmer is actually not too far behind, thanks to getting his lead lap back. But look at that, it's about 10-15 cars on the screen as we come out of turn 2.
It's amazing how these things work, isn't it? Because we saw it 2 weeks ago with the drivers trying to get into the top 15. Not many of them had been in the stage points sort of area for much of the season, but when it mattered right at the very end, they were there. Now that it matters for the playoff drivers even more than normal, 9 of them are here inside the top 10. It's very weird the way that human beings work, but anyway, they are they're here when it matters, when they've been forced to, and they're finally here. Oscar Fredriksson in particular as well. He was just slipping in the last part of that first run, but now he's on it again off the restart. 2 to go as they get to the line, and Flitterson's giving him a hard time.
Your reigning champion, he's got nothing to gain as such. He's not going to carry that number 1 car into the next season. Didn't get into the playoffs, so he is just riding for fun and maybe trying to help his teammates, and he's getting involved. Of course, one of the fastest drivers out there on the field, and he is now trying to get involved with the playoff drivers. As I mentioned, 9 inside the top 10. That wall of yellow onto lap 69. So 1 more to go, and then we will get the stage, the first one of the playoffs.
And at the moment, it looks like it's going to be Jesper Eriksson. Would be his 4th stage win of the season if he can get it. This is part of the reason why, by the way, he's got such an advantage coming into the playoffs here this season. 33 points above the cut-off line because of those 3 stage wins, and 4 wins at the end of races as well. You pick up playoff points throughout the regular season for doing this kind of thing, and he's showing that even at the end of the season, he can still do it, even at the early stage.
And the Brights Esports Arena 400 stage goes to Jesper Eriksson as we remain under green flag conditions, of course, but they are some crucial points, and it was actually, it looks like it's going to be Robert Eriksson nicking that final space inside the top 10, so Forsen misses out. Are those going to be a crucial couple of points? We'll have to find out indeed, as we're going to see some side-by-side battles. It's now Broström on the outside of Gunnarsson. Ayrton managed to get through and got off into the distance a little bit. Now the 71, who is not really involved in that first run, is coming back in the second.
Yeah, absolutely, and this is the right way to do it. Broström went backwards quite quickly, actually, on the actual start. Went as low as 13th in the start of this race, but slowly creeps his way forward and now into a good position. That's a good load of stage points there for Broström, because he started the day 12 points above the cut-off line, which is exactly where he needs to be, really, inside the top 5 here. That's absolutely fine for him. Just ahead of him, by the way, Oliver Bohlin, who was 2nd place and 14 points above the cut-off line, isn't here either. So he's got some real work to do. Won't be that far below the cut-off line in 2 weeks if he's here, but not ideal to not be here for a race.
Yes, at the worst time, as you say, is basically win it or bin it. Next time out, they're going to have to, they're not really going to be able to go through on points, so they're going to have to go through on a win. And it's always fun when you get the drivers in that situation, but that's what happens. Real life things come up sometimes, and you're not able to get into the race. As we see this battle now, so it's Haflinson. He's got the tiny gap, about a second, to Solo up ahead, and he's got a whole train of drivers in behind. He's got the team superiors, Robert Ericsson in behind. Then he's got Oscar Fredriksson as well, of course. Holmbom in the 10 machine, looking feisty as ever. This is going to be a big battle if Haflinson's job is really to defend from his teammates ahead.
I think that is his job here. You mentioned that he's got nothing to gain here. You said he's got nothing to gain, but I think he really does have quite a lot to gain, actually, from for his teammates. Maybe not for himself, that's true, but certainly for his teammates. He will have a role in the remainder of this season, I suspect, and that will be to battle with people who really don't want the battle at the moment, but are going to be forced upon them by a person who's defending here from Holmbom. Maybe less important now we've gone past the stage, but even so, keeping your teammates trouble-free further out front is going to be a big advantage, and allowing Daniel Solo to slip back and do his tyre saving again looks like the role here at the moment as well. He's immediately lost time after the points have been awarded here.
And talking of tyre saving, Ericsson went out hard, as he did in the opening stage, but then he is basically being his lead is being eaten into, and it's now Blixt who's coming at the 37. As it's now the 95 in that second place, trying to get a run. Is this the 37 controlling the speed, or is it that he just doesn't have the pace to defend? We'll find out shortly as the 95 gets closer and closer, trying to make a move.
I'm not sure he's too much closer than what we saw for much of the first stint, really, from Gunnarsson on the back of Ericsson, who didn't make a move until finally he did. So maybe this is the start of that, but we've still got 90 laps to go here. A very, very long way to go indeed. Another 35 laps, by the way, until the pit window opens for making it to the end of the race. So we've got a long time to wait until that really comes about as well. It might well be a long period of Ericsson getting a decent amount of pressure from those in behind him, but not actually any substantial overtakes, at least attempts being made, I wouldn't have thought, from Eric Blixt in the next few moments.
Yes, it's when you have these long battles, these long green flag runs, you have these long stints. The battles kind of, the importance of the battle kind of reduces a little bit, because you know you're going to have laps later on to do so. So I wouldn't be surprised if, as you say, we see a bit more of a cautious approach, but you can't do nothing, and they are definitely pulling away, actually, because Gunnarsson and Broström, they are sort of dropping off now. It is really a three-way battle, so they are pushing each other. Looking at the lap times, we are still going pretty strong. We're into the mid-high 32s, which actually, to be fair, a lot of the field is doing mid-high 32s. So the pace is out there, and looks like everyone is pretty equal on that.
As expected, really, from these top guys. I think we're immediately seeing here who could be championship contender at the end of Phoenix, but these playoff formats are so unpredictable. Arguably, this is even more unpredictable than the real life one. We've only got 2 races per round of 15 and round of 10 here, which is less than what they get in real life. So it's, I would argue, even more unpredictable, this format compared to that. It's very, very good to see, though. And we'll see who comes out on top in the end, as Elliot Fagerberg, meanwhile, makes a bit of side-to-side contact with Forsund. And they all battle their way in towards turn 3 and 4. This is much more like the midfield that we saw in the first run, starting to regroup again at the middle of the second.
I tell you what, I would not really like to be in the middle of this battle right now. This is a bit of carnage. There's some bump drafting down the back straight there. You can easily push one car into the other like Skittles, as we are side by side. The 31 Fagerberg, it goes high. He's got Fredriksson on his inside, with a little bit of a wiggle there on the car with 2x2 down the back straight, as Uvinen is trying to make the run on the inside as well, but the car's just moving around all over the place. Forsund dropping back now into P13 in the 27.
This is not good news. Maybe, especially because this is the first time he's really had deep traffic like this, and it's the first time he's starting to struggle as well. Is it all going nice and swimmingly when he's out front, single file, up with the leaders? Less so when he's in the group? Well, that could be very difficult to pull yourself out of when you're in battles like this. That was very close, just in behind him as well, by the way, between Lepit and Salander, who very nearly crowded each other out of room. Salander there was on the outside. Lepit very nearly didn't give him quite the room that he needed there. Again on the outside, and again they'll squeeze each other. This is still for 10th position, and this battle is only getting more lively as it goes on.
Oh, it certainly is. We have got to half race distance as well, and that means 200 kilometers down, and we are certainly a bit closer to trying to work out what is going to happen. But we gained such long green flag stints. I'm very interested to see how the strategy works out should a caution come out at an interesting time. We'll have to see, because these guys, I mean, they're going at it quite crazily, and I wouldn't be surprised if another caution comes out. We've got Fagbo there down on the stripe. He always getting a wiggle on as he rejoins the racetrack. He drops down multiple positions with the lost momentum.
He's just lucky to hang on to the car there, to be honest.
Oh no!
He was on the apron. Now we might see the accident in the wall, in the outside wall. And he's gotten away with it again. Almost righted himself there with the wall. And he continues on.
Oh, Lord, we were seeing Fagbo up in like 5th, 6th place at one point early on in the race. But he's got some issues in that car. And he was very loose for a couple of corners there. He was so lucky, so lucky to catch that one on the previous lap. And I don't think we're going to be seeing too much more of him up towards the front, because he probably has some damage on the outside of that rear corner of the car, and it's so crucial. Oh, that wasn't actually him, that was Overden wiggling it once more, as the temperature must be rising out there, because these drivers struggling more and more, it seems.
Yeah, Linus Prostrom told us earlier on that the temperature is going to be high today. So the tyres go off quite a lot normally, but going to be going off even more so today, apparently because of the temperature. I'm seeing track temp at 42 degrees Celsius according to my timing screen. So quite hot, but I've been Vegas has seen hotter, I'd imagine. Is in the desert, but we are in March, so it is going to be a bit of a bearing on these tyres, but I don't think it's too bad compared to normal. It's just that these tyres do wear quite quickly, to be honest, on the oval side these days. It makes for very entertaining racing indeed. To give you a reference, we're about a second and a half, maybe between a second and a half away from everyone's best lap times at the moment.
Yes, and of course we're about 30 laps into the stint. So we are approximately halfway through what they could do, and as you say, already losing over a second easily. Lepid there going up the inside of Forsen. Forsen still in this battle, in with a shout, but look how much time they've lost. I mean, even the gap between Ericsson and Fredriksson, who's leading this battle right now, already a couple of seconds there. They're going to be crucial battles. Solo getting up inside the top 5. You're right, Ewan. He is coming back into this race as well. Yeah. We're still side by side with Forsen and Lepid.
He's doing the most unbelievable sandbagging you've ever seen, Daniel Solo, to make everybody believe that he's rubbish, and all of a sudden he's in the top 5 again. Meanwhile, Alexander Ericsson leads for the first time this afternoon with a pass on Jesper Eriksson. And so he's got past Blix and Ericsson in the last few moments, and now leads at the end of lap number 88. Still 78 to go at the end of that one. A very long way to go, indeed. But Ericsson now, he'll be pleased with that, but he'll be much more pleased if he goes on to win this race. He is at the front of a group of 6, I would describe it as at the moment, maybe 7. It's getting a little bit more busy up front now.
Yeah, that's Solo in the orange machine. He's right in this battle, isn't he? He's about a second off. He's really worked his race nicely so far as we come on to lap 90. It's taken a while, but the 13 is coming for this race victory. Amazing strategy and playing the long game. We've seen that from Linus Brustrom over the years as well. He's kind of done the in the middle strategy compared to that. Solo went full save at the beginning. Brustrom was somewhere in between, but they just dropping off. We have 7 cars really, I guess, if you include Haflidsson, because Haflidsson has dropped everyone in behind him as well. So it's funny how these These battles ebb and flow over the course of a race. You look 20 laps, in the present order in the past, and the order looks completely different sometimes.
It certainly does. As we complete 30 laps in a green flag run again, by the way. It's the first time we've had 30 laps or more back-to-back, by the way, since Talladega last year. It's been a very long time since we've had 2 long green flag runs like this. The reason I bring it up, though, is because Daniel Holmer is going to be the one praying for this to end right now. He can't go much further, I wouldn't say, than lap 105. If there isn't a caution between now and then, he will have to pit and take his second set of 3 tyres. In that case, he'll be hoping that the race goes green for a very long time. But if it doesn't go out, he needs it to come out in the next 15 laps, ideally, so he can stay on the same strategy as everybody else. If it doesn't, he will have to come in and make a second stop under green.
Yeah, that's not going to be ideal at all, is it, for him, if we get into that situation? But it's not out of the question. It's just it's not in his control either. So everyone else, no matter what happens, if it goes caution, if it goes green, they will have a strategy to the end. Whereas Holmer really needs a caution. If it goes green, he's going to be stuck in a bit, and his day is not going to be going too well. He therefore could be losing a whole host of points by the end of this race. That would be a rather big name to be dropping out, who of course has been so strong in the last couple of years. Of course was at Bright Esports last year, came over to Sim Race Sweden, to the biggest teams in the championship. He knows what he's doing, but this playoff hasn't started very nicely for him.
No, he'd be down there at the moment with Helmbro and Bohlin, I guess, as well, who will be below the cut-off line. Marcus Hagman, Kenneth Tier and Marcus Hagman could be the ones as well in a bit of trouble, I suppose. Tier is already down there. Hackenschot's going to be very close because he's already down there as well, Cedric Holmbom as well. So it's all going to be very close, but you don't want to be going into that last race in the drop zone, I wouldn't say, because one bad race at Dover or another bad race at Dover and you're out. I guess the same applies if you're in the top 10 as well, but even so, I feel like it does just ramp the pressure up if you start the day down below that cut line. We'll see who is there when we indeed get to the end of this race. As we approach, by the way, just 70 laps to go in this race. Ericsson looking comfortable in leading at the moment from Ericsson, Blixt, Gunnarsson, Solo, Broström and Haflidsson, all of whom I'd count in this front group.
And with how the caution fell, it almost feels like we've been green flagged from the start as well, with it being perfectly timed for the pit stop. So it's been a very fluid race so far, and as mentioned, we've got a lot of the playoff drivers moving themselves up towards the front of the field, with fast approaching lap 100 as well, which is always an interesting number just for the sake of it. But at the front we have Ericsson, Blixt, the top 3, and they're sitting pretty at the moment. Solo hasn't really, of course Gunnarsson in behind as well, Solo hasn't really caught up fully. We're losing Broström off the back as well, and Haflidsson. They've dropped off by about half a second in the last few laps.
Yeah, they're just hovering at 2 seconds at the moment. You see it there. There's definitely a difference in the way that the front 3 or 4 are following each other, and the rest of the guys in the top 7 at the moment. Broström especially seems like he's struggling, or is he just holding himself back? They could still have 20 laps to go in this stint, by the way. If they run the tanks absolutely dry, there could be another 20 in these cars. So they've got to be careful, just in case they are going to be forced to push on to that distance. Daniel Holmer, by the way, about to complete lap 54 of his stint. He's just passing Elliot Fagerberg, who I wonder if he's had a problem because he's plummeting down the field.
He had that issue obviously a few laps to go going into the wall, and as you say, he's down pit road. I wonder if that is for the damage. He's only 39 laps into this stint. As you come back to Dan Holmer with the caution, he's back on the lead lap, but he is now on to lap 55 of this stint. He doesn't have too much longer to go before he's going to need to start thinking about pitting once again. He's not going to have enough laps to get to one stop remaining in this race. I think he's going to need a splash, and that could be crucial if we don't have another caution.
Yeah, he certainly can't make it on fuel on one more stop. I'm absolutely certain about that. But It's about whether he's going to be able to pit with everybody else. It's whether he's going to get a caution at the right moment, really, which is the puzzling thing for Holmer. The advantage he's got is that there are a good 40 laps, 45 laps even, where they are on the same strategy here at Holmer to the rest of them. So he might be saved by that increased probability, but the 25% of the stint that he wasn't on the same stint or strategy as the rest of them, that's when the caution fell the first time round. So you just never know how this is going to work as they hit that 166 to go at the end of this one. So we're about 2/3 of the way through here, or a bit less, but Ericsson's still leading, coming under increasing pressure though from Jesper Eriksson.
Yeah, I'm surprised that Ericsson didn't come back, actually, at the 24. He did kind of try for a lap or two, but we just know how aggressive that 37 car can be, and sometimes caution to the wind in certain situations, but it looks fairly stable right now. It is definitely a front three, though. Gunnarsson solo just sitting off the back, but I say that Blixt is starting to make some moves forward, and this might force the 37 to try something as well up towards the front. He looks towards the inside, but Ericsson is holding strong still for now.
And this is going to be a good run for Blixt. That's a better run from him off of turn number 2. Can he get anywhere in before 3? Ericsson just went for a slightly earlier turn in there, maybe in reaction to number 95 getting a bit closer and a bit bigger in his rearview mirrors. Now off of 4. He's going to have nailed that exit, and it looks like he pretty much has. He might choose attack as the best form of defence here, because Ericsson is quite close to him. But no, they stay single file. The front 3 agonisingly close together, just a quarter of a tenth between them.
Yeah, this is an amazing battle in terms of the longevity of it. Of course, they're not side by side, swapping places every lap, but it is still an intense situation, like a pressure cooker, having all these drivers, and slowly but surely we do drop them off though. In behind me, Broström, he's gone. Havlinson's got past him, and he's not able to hold on. He's now almost 3 seconds behind, so he's lost a good second in the last 10-20 laps. And not able to hold on. Fredriksson, I wonder... No, Fredriksson's actually going slower, so Fredriksson's not really going to be catching up too much, but Broström does need to be watching out for that one to not get involved with him either. So yes, it's certainly a fun one for that. We are on to lap 60 of Dan Holmer's stint, and we have 62 laps left. So I do wonder, Ewan, if he could just stretch it, but that caution probably helped him save a couple of laps of fuel.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody will have saved quite a lot under that caution. So you're able to get that little bit closer to where you want to be at the end of the day. I think with the caution interruption, you can get to lap 60, to be honest. With those 4 laps under caution, I think you can save enough to get to 60. So he's putting himself in a good position here, Holmer. And indeed the rest of them, I should say, to get to the end. But that caution certainly helping them along as they get out of turn number 4 again here at these leaders. Ericsson still leading as he ducks to the low side again. Completes lap 105. Now, 45 laps done in this run. That's still only 3/4 of the distance we made it first time round. So, some very long, nice runs today.
Indeed, and therefore the tyre wear is a big issue, and everyone seems to be holding on to them fairly well, actually. So we're still only about a second and a half or so off, which we were quite a few laps ago now. So we sort of had a drop off, and then it's been very stable since then, the last 10-20 laps. So the tyres are holding on for the drivers who are at least being a little bit cautious with that. We saw a big slide there for Holmbom, though. He was slightly offline as Ericsson slid through up into the top 10.
Yeah, Holmbom's having a good day so far. Started the day 15th in points. Need to be in the top 10 at the end of the day, but he's going to get ahead of Helmbro and Bohlin without doing anything, really. So where is he compared to the others? Well, at the moment he's ahead of Tier, ahead of Schott, ahead of Holmer as well, has been for most of the day. This is a good day for Cedric Holmbom so far. A good start to the campaign, because he really needed something special to get himself out of the top 10. I know he's only 7 points off, but it can feel like a mountain to climb at this level as Ericsson versus Ericsson finally does spark into life, and Ericsson does get that first position away from Alexander Ericsson after quite a few laps in the lead.
Yes, it's he sat there for a while, probably by choice. but let's see, is this at the time when he feels like he's got a little bit left in the tyre? The stint is coming to the end. We've done 50 laps on this stint so far, so not too far before their next round of pit stops. And we'll have to see how that one goes, of course. Holmer did just come into the pit lane, by the way. Holmer came down pit road, and he is... I tell you what, I think he might just be okay if we do go green, but it's certainly on the limit. The 95 now goes past Eracingligan as well. So is this Eracingligan slowing down? Has he not got the speed in his tyres? Or is this just the fact that the car sitting behind saved a little bit, and now that they can push a bit more?
What Holmer might also do, actually, by the way, is pull others down on pit lane further down. So he might actually get some help with that. But meanwhile, Eracingligan gets to the inside of Blix and is going to go through on the inside line. But can he get clear? He's sliding. Oh, that was tight. That was close. A big risk, to be honest. But Blix saw it coming. He ducks to the other side instead and goes to the inside of 3 and 4.
Lovely battle between these two. They swap one corner, they swap the next, and now it's the turn of Eracingligan to try and get back past. Eracingligan is loving this. He's looking in his mirrors thinking, please keep battling, slow yourself down, and I'm going to get a nice little gap at the front. And that is exactly what's happened. 7 tenths he's got. Blix is now in second place. Eracingligan trying to hold back on, but he's got to look in his mirrors now as well, because Gunnarsson is getting close. The 33 machine is trying to make it 2 Alcon Tech cars on the podium. As it stands, of course, we've still got 50 laps to go in this race, but he is trying to do it now. He's going to the outside, get a bit of an up and under, get the momentum down the front straight, but not enough as Eracingligan holds it firm.
So Gunnarsson will certainly fancy his chances now. Daniel Solo will close in as well, but this is all allowing Jesper Eriksson to get further and further out front, nearly a second the margin. That's exactly why these guys are going to all want to be second, and they'll all want after that for the others to get organised and in behind them. So this could get a bit of a difficult argument between these guys as they make their way through 3 and 4 now. Just looking a little bit lower off of 4 there, Eracingligan. That's a better run. Blix going a little bit wide, nearly out into the outside wall. Eracingligan not close enough to make a move, though, as they cross 54 laps to go. We are well in the window now to make it home on fuel.
Certainly are, and that's a shame. The likes of Salander and Holmer, they were just 5 laps short, so close. So they might just be able to squeeze it. We'll have to find out. Tell you what, Ewan, I feel like we have another caution coming in this race. I feel something is going to happen, but you never know. How far do these guys want to stretch it? We've already seen some wiggles out there. We're starting to see some drivers struggle in these long, hot stints that we've got here at Las Vegas.
I mean, with Dan Holmer out there on new tyres, you never know what's going to happen, do you? So sorry. Cheap though, couldn't it? You're probably right, to be honest. We've only seen one race this season with just one caution, and that was the opener. I'm not counting the road course. But yeah, it does feel likely, as that was live pictures, by the way, of Cedric Holmbaum going up onto 2 wheels and getting 4 new tyres as well. He's really going to kick things off here because he was running 11th.
Yes, that's a good one. Get the undercut, get yourself out there, but of course, the earlier you stop, you do get the undercut as such, but you put yourself a lap down and you are putting yourself at risk if there were to be an untimely caution. So it's a bit of a risk here and there. As we are seeing at the front, Eracingligan is getting dangerously close to 1 second in the lead. We've got this little battle that's proving in behind. Broström is completely gone now on the back of this battle. And Fredriksson, I said they were doing the same lap times. That's obviously a 1 lap that I looked at, because since then, Fredriksson is now within half a second. And Broström hasn't had the longevity of this stint that we normally see from the 71.
No. This is unusual, very unusual, but just hasn't looked like he's quite been on the pace so far today. There's a couple more stops here. It's Timo Wildeboer just ahead of Marcus Stiller. Sebastian Tidemo came in just in front of them, and meanwhile, Jesper Eriksson comes in for the lead. That's a big surprise. To me, he wouldn't be covering off Holmbaum. He pitted from way too far back. So why has the race leader come in first, trying to undercut everybody else? I'm not entirely sure, but I suppose there isn't really a disadvantage to it too much.
No, I guess we'll have to find out which one is going to be the best strategy. He was sat in behind for quite a lot of that, so you'd assume he would have saved. But yeah, you never know what the strategy idea is going to be. I assume in the next couple of laps now, everyone is going to come down pit road though, so that's going to be an important one, as there is Eracingligan in the 24 now coming down the pit road too.
That's an indirect response, I would say, to Jesper Eriksson, who came in just one lap ago, but he'll be feeling annoyed, I think, and all of them will be, that Eriksson has managed to sort of outflank them almost and pit in, undercut them, even though he's in the lead. That will be very, very pleasing to the driver of the 37. As we have a look at him on the outlap. And there goes Eriksson up onto two wheels again, and in come the rest of them. Blix, Gunnarsson and Solo all into pit lane. Michael Flinderson is going to carry on. He's not involved in the playoffs though. There goes Eriksson, way past Eriksson. It's not even close on the exit.
Is 1-2 laps really going to be that crucial? If so, Eriksson's going to have a massive lead here. The Tech cars all coming at the same time, as you would expect. But, I mean, he had a 1 second gap really before the stops. If it's much more than that, they're going to have to really push to chase him down. And even with 47 laps or so on the stint, much less than what they've had previous, they're going to burn up their tyres doing that. So even if they catch him, surely they're going to have less grip at the end. So this is a big moment of the race. That was a big call from Eriksson to go a lap early and get the undercut.
I mean, it makes sense because they were more than 2 seconds off their previous bests when they were, or their personal bests from the race when they were still out there on the old tyres. So it absolutely makes sense that you could gain 2 seconds a lap just by pitting early. Eriksson is over 6 seconds ahead of Eriksson. Maybe that scale of gap is a bit wild because he came in with 1 second. He's only been out for 2 laps more than the others. That would suggest 5 seconds maybe at most. He's got more than 6 over ahead of the others quite considerably. Here comes Flinderson with Eriksson. Fredriksson just a bit further behind. This is Fredriksson on the screen, who's just going to slip outside the top 10. Broström will get past him, and Flinderson will stay ahead of him. Solander's in 6th because he pitted so early. I bet Holmer's about 5th. He's 11th. Holmer's 11th. So that's just what an early stop can do for you, although those two might well start to fall pretty quickly.
Oh my word. So that undercut was absolutely huge, massive. I mean, I don't know a word big enough to describe that really. I mean, we're seeing such close battles out there. Anything more than 2 seconds would have been big, but to have 6-7 seconds, that is absolutely absurd, and is really putting Eriksson in such a strong position because, as mentioned, even if they have the pace, or as Solo goes up into the wall in the exit of 4, even if they have the pace to do that, they are going to burn up their tyres. I mean, 6 seconds is a long way in 40 laps.
That's a very long way. That's not coming back, I would go as far to say. That's Solo going. Is that Solo going very wide? Or is that Solander? Sorry.
I don't know. Yeah, lap down.
Yeah, it was Solander. Okay, so he's up back to 6th place now. Yeah, that's not coming back, I wouldn't say, under green flag conditions, even with the advantage. There's the lap since pit lane. So 2 laps for Eriksson. Oh, sorry, one. They haven't all updated yet. 1 lap it is advantage for Eriksson. 2 laps for Blix and Gunnarsson. That's very minor. The gaps that they're going to have to pull back are going to have to all be in genuine speed. And over the course of 45 laps, 7 seconds, they're going to need, a second every 7 laps or so. That is going to be very, very difficult indeed to achieve every single lap. They need a caution here, otherwise I would say Eriksson's on his way to another win.
Yeah, just correct what I said. Yeah, Solander's not a lap down, sorry, but he's off strategy. So he's so much slower. So you've seen already just how far Gunnarsson and Solo have got up on Solander in 1 lap on the older tyres. So that really is a big, big difference. So this is Dan Holmer up into the top 10, but he's so on the limit if he's going to get to the end on fuel. And of course, he's got everyone with the newer tyres around him. So he is going to drop back massively as you see drivers just going past him. So even though it looked a bit nice there for him, he's already lost a couple of places, and he's definitely not getting a top 10 today because if he stays out, he's going to be slower. They're going to obviously stay ahead of him, and if he has to pit again, then obviously going to lose time from that as well.
But there's a net gain here. So from where he was earlier on, he is not going to stay in the top 10, you're right, but there's a net gain. He's already ahead of Hagman, Tier and Schott, and he'll do well to drop behind them, even with some of the... I mean, Schott's got nearly 20 laps younger tyres because he stayed out for so long. For what reason, I've got no idea. But Homer's got a net gain here of pretty big proportions. If a caution especially comes out, he's right in the money. He's gained a lot of position. Don't forget, he was running about 26th. For most of that stint, he was really suffering on older tyres compared to the others, trying to make this work on fuel. If there's a caution here in the next 10, 15 laps or so, he'll be laughing because he will have gained about 10 places from that pit call, even though he won't be anywhere near the top 10 anymore.
Yeah, I guess it's better from where he was, but it's not going to be better in terms of getting the result that he would have wanted today. But the laps are certainly going on. Lap 130 is approaching us very quickly indeed. So yeah, it's funny how when you have a green flag race, the lap counts do go very, very quickly indeed. Of course, those caution laps are so much slower. About 2 minutes a lap compared to 30 seconds per lap. So definitely a difference in speed. But just the one caution today around the time of the first pit stop on lap 56. And since then, we've been green flag racing. Green flag pit stops came around, and now Ericsson has a 5.5 second lead.
That is closing, but is it going to close quickly enough over the course of the next 40 laps to see a real battle for the race win? I don't think he's out and out quickest driver in the field today, like we have seen pretty undeniably sometimes this season. We thought, well, he's thoroughly deserved the win because he's been a lot quicker than everybody else. I don't think that would be the case here today. I think a lot of this margin that he's got at the moment, in fact almost all of it, has come through a very good strategy. Coming in earlier than the others, I think really surprised them, and he's managed to get a big lead as a result of it. Can he hold on for the last 40 laps? I think if it stays green, I think it's pretty certain that he will.
Oh yes, if we look at the last lap, he was actually quicker than everyone else. So he's got the speed to hold on. We've got Bohlin now coming down pit road as well. That's an extra stop. He came in 9 laps ago. So Bohlin dropping down the 27. Playoff driver who's already struggling today is coming down pit road once again, and he's not going to be getting many points today. So that could be a driver that we see slipping away from this round of 15.
Here it's an internet disconnection, unfortunately. Well, we say that. Wasn't it him whose computer exploded last week? Well, it didn't explode, but it did have a problem. So I hope that's not the same problem rearing its head again, because only 7 days ago in this very event in the Road Series, which we started last week, by the way, at Hockenheim, he had a PC problem that may well have just reared its head again there.
So he won the IndyCar Championship at the back end of 2024 with the start of 25. As much as he locked himself into the playoffs, as someone's riding the wall in the background there, he made himself into the playoffs, but as you say, the start of the GT3 Championship didn't go very well, and now the start of the playoffs hasn't gone very well. So this is, tough times for Bohlin. He's going to have to come back and win his way at Dover into the round of 10.
He certainly is. It's going to be pretty difficult to do that, though, because I reckon there's going to be at least 2 others who are going to be trying to do that as well. Oliver Walling could be in that position, but Peter Halbro almost certainly is going to be if they return in 2 weeks' time as well. So, it could be a number of drivers searching for that one big win. Of course, any of those top 15, if they win either here or at Dover, then they're locked into the round of 10 immediately.
Yes, they certainly are. I do love the playoff system in that regard, so it does still allow one of the underdog drivers to get through. But of course, that is just so difficult indeed. But while we have these long green flag runs, we'll use this opportunity on lap 133 to take some messages from our partners. playoffs continue here at Las Vegas. It's the Bright Esports Arena 400. It's the first race of the playoffs, and Jesper Eriksson is leading by 6 seconds. We have just over 25 laps remaining, and we have a big battle for second place. We've got Eriksson, Blix, Gunnarsson, Solo, and Haflidarsson all battling for it. These are crucial points. Of course, Haflidarsson, not a playoff driver, he could try and take something away, but he's got 3 teammates ahead of him. It's the 4 Alcantechs all chasing down Eriksson to try and get themselves on the podium here today.
Looks like that's what these guys are focusing on, to be honest. They've given up really on trying to win this race, I would say. It's going to be a big battle for this next position. Daniel Solo letting Michael Haflidarsson through there. I wonder if they're almost sending Haflidarsson upwards to try and throw caution to the wind here and maybe help his teammates get on past. They're not going to do anything suspicious by any means. He's not going to bump Eriksson off the road to try and do all this, but very obvious there that Solo was letting Haflidarsson through to go on up the road for the moment, and I'm sure that if it stays like this towards the end, he might give that place back before the finish.
Yes, potentially. We'll have to see if they want to be kind like that. And of course, the racing has continued on for a long time. We have had just 1 caution on lap 56. So if we go green to the end of the race, we'll be over 100 laps in a row of green flag racing. The first stint was very clean as well, indeed, and the caution came out perfectly at the pit stop time. And we have been green ever since. So green flag pit stops have been made 25 laps ago now, actually. We're already halfway through this third and potentially final stint of the day. Haflidarsson goes up the inside of his teammate, and he is getting these positions nicely. He's actually on no fresher tyres, really. I mean, he's on like 1 lap fresher tyres, so not a huge difference, but he is coming to try and get ahead of the 24.
At the moment, he is absolutely marching as well. The thing that the others have got to worry about, that maybe Haflidarsson doesn't have to worry about quite so much as well, is actually making it to the end of the race with some decent health tyres left. At the moment, that doesn't seem to be too much of a concern for the number 1 car that's just going for it. These guys are just trying to hold something back for those final 10 laps or so as well. We're rapidly approaching the final 20 laps here, by the way. If Haflidarsson gets down the inside of Eric Blix, that's going to be easy. Now Eriksson's got a huge job on his hands to try and keep Haflidarsson behind. This is going to be very difficult.
And I wonder what Haflidarsson going to do here, because even if he gets ahead of the 24, as you mentioned a couple laps ago, he kind of needs to get his teammates ahead. They all need to get ahead of the 24. So it's interesting. Let's see how they want to play it. The Alcantech cars push. They had a 4-man push to the front to get Gunnarsson the win at Daytona. And now Haflidarsson going to the outside, your reigning champion with nothing to lose. He goes around the outside of the 24 and he gets himself up into second place. They are 6 seconds away from Eriksson. Oh, there's a big slide there from the 24. Does he have the tyres to hold on? I don't think he has, as Blix comes around the outside.
Well, there's exactly the game plan in action. Haflidarsson gets through on Eriksson, and he didn't really have to do anything special, but he got Eriksson out of shape, and Eric Blix is trying to take advantage. Eriksson tried to shut the door there off of turn 2. Blix is going to try and come through here on the outside line in for 3rd place. Gunnarsson will try and do the same, then Solo will do the same as well. This could be one fairly long freight train here, although Eriksson is going to tuck into line here in 4th place.
Yeah, lovely move from the 95. Took a few corners to do it, but swooped around the outside. The 24 held it firm on that apron on the line, but not enough to be able to hold on for that position. So the 33 and the 13, they are certainly going to be trying to come past, and this might be the move already. The 33 of Gunnarsson looking down the inside in towards turn 3. So it was the inside that didn't work for the 24 last lap, and now it's the outside, so that tells me he just doesn't have the pace. Gunnarsson is going to be sliding through as well, and before you know it, the 13 will be involved there. So Alcantech definitely have good pace in this race.
Certainly do. And the fact they've got good teamwork as well, they've clearly proven that over previous weeks. It's really helping them in these last weeks of the season as well. We saw it in action at Daytona. We're seeing it again here in a less obvious way here today, but no less effective. Eriksson suddenly drops to 5th, and Daniel Solo is showing his speed now in the final moments of this race as well. as he got off to a very slow start. That's all become clear now. It was intentional. I mentioned earlier that the risk versus reward wasn't worth it for me, but he's got past the risk part now without problems. For me, that was a really high-risk part of the race that I wouldn't want to be involved in, but he's gotten through it, and now he's seeing the benefit of getting away with that little slice of luck. Good driving as well, but little slice of luck. And now he's taking advantage, taking the reward, and this is him going for 5th place.
I thought that was going to be a somewhat simple move in towards turn 3, but the 24, a big chop down to the inside to block off the 13, and that stopped his momentum really well. He hasn't got the run in towards the first corner either, so the 24 is doing what he can to hold on to these positions, because if Solo gets through, I'm sure he'll be able to keep ahead, and then it'll be a lonely day with 7 seconds behind to Oscar Fredriksson in 7th place. But this time around, no chopping for the 24 as the 13 gets through. As long as he can hold it down, he's got the tyres to do so. So we get to a 16 laps left in this race, and we have Alcatech 2, 3, 4 and 5.
They'll know that all of those guys will be pleased with their playoff position at the end of this, Eracingligan included, by the way. Even if the race were to end right now, even though he has lost 4 points in a matter of moments there, he will still be in a good position come the end of the day if things stay as they are. In fact, all of the top 8 in this field are going to be Ericsson, Blix, Gunnarsson, Solo, Aronson, Fredriksson and Broström. All will be going in with a very comfortable situation next time out. It will be the other 8 we're really looking at as to who needs a win, who needs points, where are they going to finish. Those are the guys who are going to be particularly worried, particularly Forsund after that disconnect. That's really disappointing for him. He'll be a long way back after that.
Absolutely, and remember it's around a 10. And there's 7 drivers here in the top 8. That means there's effectively just 3 spots remaining for the other drivers, for the other 8 drivers. So that is going to be a big battle, with losing, of course, over half of those drivers. 5 go, 3 will remain at Dover in a couple of weeks' time. Remember, the GT3 series, the road course series, returns next week. And then the week after that, we go back oval racing. Alternating weeks here during the playoffs. So those drivers doing the GT3 series as well, that's actually quite interesting if there's some sort of correlation with drivers struggling or not, because Ericsson isn't getting involved in that. But is that going to be a benefit in the oval series? We'll have to find out.
It certainly will. I do like the fact we alternate weeks, by the way. It helps keep things fresh, keep everybody fresh for each season. Makes everybody, I feel, a bit more motivated to come back to the Oval Series again here time and again. I can't remember how many we got 2 weeks ago at Daytona. I think we got well over 40 though in the field. Everybody clearly still very motivated to be part of this series and part of these races. Over 30 again here tonight at Las Vegas, even as we get down towards the very end of a pretty long season that started all the way back at the end of August with the opening round of the season. It's been a lot of months, a lot of races. It's all culminating in this now, the playoffs at the very end, the final 5-race postseason at the end of the 14-round regular season. It's all coming down to it now. And it's first race, with the first race gone, there's 7 drivers particularly who will be very pleased indeed with how this has gone, and as you say, another 3 places effectively to be fought over next time out. Although with a bad race at Dover, any of these guys could still drop out as well. It's the beauty of a 2-race playoffs. It's very difficult to be absolutely secure, and this man's going to be pretty worried as well. Daniel Holmer, just 11 laps from the end of this race. Has he got the fuel to make it there?
Oh, the issue is... Almost didn't see the end of the race with some tiny bit of contact there on the 84. We've got Marcus Hogman getting involved in this as well. This is all for position. So this is 14th place for Holman. Then we've got Uven and Hogman in behind, trying to keep themselves in the top 15. Of course, some strong points. But the issue for Holmer is he's got all these battles, but he's got older tyres, and he's trying to fuel save to the end. He's right on the limit. Such a difficult situation to be in. And they do actually have a couple of seconds on the road to home bomb as well, so further opportunities up ahead, where it's difficult to battle and save at the same time.
It is. Let's hope for his sake he's already done the saving. As you mentioned earlier, it might be okay, but you just never know. And are we even going to be green to the end of the race the way these guys are going at the moment?
Uvenen, I mean, he's been loose all day. and they, you know, fix setup and all that, but it's how you drive it, and he's been sliding up into the wall. Oh, he does it again. The exit of 4, the exit of 2 comes down in front of the 12 as well. This is some bumper car racing from the 84 as he keeps himself ahead of his 2 rivals, but not in the cleanest way possible.
Yeah, this is sketchy stuff now. Very sketchy between these guys. They're all over the place. They're on old tyres, don't forget here. Everybody is. I know we're talking about Hopper as if he's got really old tyres compared to the rest, but actually everybody is on old tyres at the moment. Everybody's struggling, just trying to get to the end of the race at the moment. Uberman looks particularly ragged. Now he gets the nose and indeed the whole car in front of Homer, who's got a good run off of turn 2, and he'll do it again in towards turn 3, having another go.
Lovely battle between these drivers, just showing you that it's not all about getting the race win and the top positions. Even in the midfield, these positions are important, and these battles actually sometimes are some of the funnest in the field, because it's not like you got nothing to lose, but you might as well go for it and see what happens. Just following each other to the end is going to be a bit boring, isn't it? So let's see what we can do inside the final 10 laps. Marcus Hogman, who's having such a strong run to the season, Uberman up to the wall again, this time missing it by an inch as Homer gets the run on the inside into 3.
And but up front, by the way, I think Everson's giving up those places again to his teammates, at least beginning that process. So Eric Blix goes up to second. I'd imagine there's some very mundane overtakes going up over there. This is anything but at the moment. This is a fantastic battle. This is Homer trying to scrap for every point he can get. And this is Magnus. Quiet day for him. Not the worst thing to have in a playoff run. A quiet day, although he would have liked a few more points.
Certainly would have, but every single position is going to count. You might as well go for it, and that is what they are doing up the inside. Have they finally prepared dispatch Uverden? No, he's not, because the 84 around the outside off the pair of them. 3 wide we go after a big slide from Marcus Hogman. We're in towards the final 6 laps of this race. Not long left to finalise these positions. Not long at all. These guys, by the way, are not that far away from being lapped. Jesper Eriksson is not that far away. If they carry on like this, they will be lapped. So watching the background, I think that is Eriksson in the background there. I think that is him. So these guys could very well go a lap down in a few moments' time. They've got to worry about that and wonder about that as lots more try and catch up to them, because Dan Peppels, Anton Bratberg and Marcus Stiller have all just been lapped. They're right behind Jesper Eriksson, effectively using him to go a bit faster. Could be in an even larger group soon. As the Alcatel cars complete the swapperoo, and that is perfectly timed. Haflinson should have the speed, obviously, to hold on to the 24. I should say, I think that was more of a letting through of the teammates. Perfect coordination oh no, I thought he dropped out of the race. I thought that's perfectly timed, isn't it, if he does that? Aronson is going to be trying to get through, but of course the damage is already done. The other 3 teammates have gone past. Yeah. Caution! Oh, it has been that battle. That battle has given us a caution, and it's going to give us a green-white checker. It's going to give us extra laps here this afternoon. Oh, my goodness. It's going to be, it was looking rather, so simple for Jesper Eriksson. It is not going to be at the end of the day. Oh, my goodness. What a finish we're going to have. We've seen these guys battling, so Homer got through eventually, but the 2 tag on 3 and 4, they're both sliding the rear end, to be honest, before the contact, but it was just enough to see them. They barely went around, actually, and unfortunately for us, actually, there was enough to bring out the caution. But having said that, I'm actually looking forward to what this is going to bring. They didn't go past the 90, but it was just enough to bring the caution out. As you say, Ewan, green-white checker, another opportunity as is that coming down pit road? I wasn't expecting to see so many drivers doing so, but I guess if everyone comes in, might as well use that fresh set of tyres. Even for 2 laps here, you've got to come on for a new set of tyres. I expect everybody on the lead lap in here, by the way. I'd expect absolutely everybody, unless someone with no playoff chances on the lead lap right down towards the tail ends decides they just want to be a nutcase and stay out there. You're never going to survive out there on old tyres. You've got to take all 4 here. So all of the lead lap cars are in. Jesper Eriksson first, and because there were so many lap cars between him and the others, he should make it out comfortably first. There he goes, but who's going to be next in line? That's going to be the real key here. There's a number of other lap cars by the looks of things. Blix, then Gunnarsson, then Aronson with a good stop. No, he's dropping down. Aronson's had a bad stop, in fact. Fredriksson's the one with the good stop. He's up to 4th. everything's changed around. Yeah, Aronson's had a terrible stop. We lost a couple of seconds there coming down pit road, and unfortunately that is going to mean some quite big damage for him, because as you say, Fredriksson has got up involved in this. It's actually more so Fredriksson, I think, gaining than the others losing, and of course is giving opportunity for Broström to get back involved. So Fredriksson, after all of this, he's been sat off in the back of that lead pack. We haven't really spoken about him all day, but he's going to be on that second row, the opposite to his teammate Ericsson, and he might find a way to get onto this podium.
I think from the outside it could be tricky for him actually, but certainly he's in the game, and that's all you can ask for at the moment. After quite a quiet day, he's kept himself clean, and he's right in the in with a shout here at the end of the day. There's going to be a lot of wave rounds this time round. They're all hoping for a second green-white checker so that they can get some new tyres on at the next stop, and then they can be in the game next time round. So Bratberg, Schott, Tier, Broström, Holmholm and Holmer, Daniel Holmer, all get back onto the lead lap again, but they're at the back on old tyres.
Absolutely, and this is the one thing where you just hope that they've got enough fuel in the tank, but they stopped so late after the 2/3 distance. They should be absolutely fine, of course, and these calculations will have been made into their fuel numbers, I'm sure. So green white checker, everyone knows the deal here, 2-lap run to the end. Of course, the 37 is going to be in the lead, as he has done for most of the day, as he has done at all of the restarts. And of course, the start as well, being on that pole position. We've got a big train of cars in behind, all trying to get the win. It was going to be an easy victory for the 37 to open up this Bohlin Svenska Eracingligan Oval Series playoff. But is there something? Another twist in the tail, as the Bright Esports Arena 400 is going to go green flag once more for a couple more laps around Las Vegas. We have got Alcantech on that second row. They need to work together. But of course, everyone is pushing now. It's going to be flat out to the end.
That's not a great start for Alcantech. They needed to be a lot closer to Ericsson than that. Through turn 1 and 2, he's got a big jump. Gunnarsson is their man to try and chase him, as that's a look down the inside here. Is that Fredriksson on the very inside line of Solo? It is. He's switched from the outside line back to the inside in time. For turn 3 and 4, it's clean up front. It's Ericsson with a brilliant start. The white flag waves here with one more lap to go.
The 33 needs to do something, but it's so difficult with the gap. He's got 3/10 in one lap. It's going to be so difficult. He's got to push from his teammate. Is it going to be enough into 3 and 4?
Let's see in towards the final corners. It looks like Blix is going to challenge Gunnarsson more than anything else. Ericsson has still got the gap despite this late restart.
And Alcantech, they are 2, 3, 4 and 5, but they are not P1. That is Jesper Eriksson. A late caution doesn't change the result. He's going to come and win. We're crashing in the background, but Eriksson comes across the line. He wins the Bright Esports Arena 400, and he takes that victory, locking himself into the round of 10. Gunnarsson will get second from Blix on that podium. Solo, Haflidason, Alcantech. What a good job from them to get up inside the top 5. And it was Broström in the end getting P6 as Fredriksson dropped down the way. But of course, many drivers taken out at the end there. So the result in the mid-pack has changed quite a bit.
It has, and one noticeable absentee from the top 10 is Alexander Aronson, who was running up inside the top 5 for most of the day, but he's finished only 11th. No means qualified into the round of 10 for the moment. He's got a very long way to go until he can achieve that, but Jesper Eriksson has achieved it. Stage victory, and indeed the race victory as well. Good on the long runs with the strategy through the middle of the long run in the race as well. 102 laps, by the way, we were at green in the middle of that race. Also good on the very short run to the line. It was that restart itself. He seemed to catch the others off guard. He had so many car lengths, even heading in towards turn 1 with 2 laps to go.
Time that to perfection as he's 3-wheeling on those donuts. Let's see what happens. We've got Aronson in 24. Fredriksson in the 112 on the outside. We've got Leppert in the 50 coming down the back straightaway. Got Broström as well. So Broström ends up ahead of these drivers. So he's going to somehow avoid what we are seeing up ahead. Leppert goes down the inside, tags the back of the 24. Broström effectively pushes his teammate back straight. But then there must have been a few crashes in the background of all the drivers trying to slow down. So it wasn't actually the biggest contact in the world, but it was a big change for the 24.
Yeah, he got away with one there, didn't he? Just about finishing up there, but not what he was hoping for, that's for sure.
As here is the results after 167 laps. Ericsson actually getting the fastest lap at the end there, subject to those fresh tyres and light fuel at the end. It's Ericsson, Gunnarsson, Blix, Solo, and Haflidsson, your top 5. Broström, Salander, Fredriksson, Leppit, and Auto getting himself up inside the top 10. Not a driver we really mentioned too much today. Aronson, Holmbom, and Holmer inside your top 13 before Paples, Bratberg, Schott, Tier. Kenneth Tier managed to go up to P17, but one of the lowest of the playoff drivers. Then we had Broström, Stiller, and Tidemo. These drivers now going one lap down. Uven and Skoglund, Hogman, Pfeffer, Eriksson, Wurdeber, Wallen, Knell, Forsland, and Holmgren down in P30. Of course, big loss there for Forsland, P29, and he's going to be losing so many points. He basically just needs to win next time out. And then Fagerberg, your first retirement of the day, still did over 100 laps today. Here's the 37 of Jesper Eriksson. Let's bring him in to get a few words from his race today. Jesper, let's be honest, after a difficult playoff 12 months ago, this is the perfect start for you.
Yeah, definitely. It's a it's a big momentum game for me because playoffs always kind of just ends up in scraps, getting wrecked, doing bad races and barely making it in, even though I had the great regular season. But this is just a great start and feeling very happy at the moment. And clean sweep first of the season, so not much to complain about.
Yeah, pretty perfect race for you. I mean, you didn't lead every single lap. Of course, we had Aronson there leading for quite a while, but you seemed to hold your ground fairly nicely in that second place, and then you managed to get the undercut at that second pit stop. Just how did you get such a big gap, or was it purely just those fresher tyres for one lap?
I mean, I did gain about a second from him before the stop, and then, I mean, I didn't know if I was going to get speeding in pit lane because I absolutely sent it. I think I went sideways across the pit entry line, so it was just sending it and hoping for the best.
Absolutely, but then it all came down to a final restart. You had a green-white checker situation. Was your heart racing at that point because you had all the Alcon Tech cars behind you? They were chasing you down. That must have been quite a nerve-wracking restart.
Oh, definitely. Having those cars chase me down is always quite scary, but because you know how hard they race and how hard I race them, but it's always a pleasure. And I was quite mad when the caution came out because I had such a big lead and just being comfortable in the front, but it all worked out in the end.
Absolutely. So you're into the round of 10 now. I mean, you were probably going to be anyway with the points gap that you had, but you're definitely there now with the win. So what's Dover going to have for you? I mean, obviously you're going to still try and win, but anything special on the cards?
Try to help my teammates as much as possible. Try to find good balance for the car, good strategy, and try to be with them and help them as much as possible because there's not much I can do at the moment.
Absolutely, you got to sit patiently, and maybe you'll have the championship crown in a couple of months' time. Correct. Congratulations, and hopefully we'll speak to you next time.
Thanks, boys.
Yeah, that was Jesper Eriksson, and we will bring in, of course, the number 33 of Jonas Gunnarsson. And Jonas, you looked so strong out there today in that 33 machine. You had to sit patient for quite a lot of the race. Just tell us about that sort of mid part of the race where you were in that pack of 6 or 7 cars at the front, just sort of biding your time. Were you really just playing the long game at that point?
Yeah, we were. The tires were, you had to be so careful with them. I think the first stint went okay for me, but the second was C- maybe. And the last stint was not very good pit stop. So yeah, P2 it's good for the playoff. Good start in the playoff.
Indeed, and with all of your teammates around you, of course, you got Eric, you got Daniel there, and even Hafley as well, although he's not involved in the playoffs. How did you decide what order really you want to finish, or was that just a little bit of just circumstantial, the fact that you ended up in the lead of the train?
Yeah, it was when it's green white checkered like that, we are racing each other, and we are all trying to win. So it was free for all.
Absolutely. And next time out is Dover. How are you feeling for that track? Do you like it there?
Yeah, I like it, but not as much as Daniel and Eric. I think they're going to be maybe even 1-2 there if they have it.
Oh, that'll be quite something. Yeah, hopefully you have a good result there as well, and maybe you can regain your number one in a few weeks' time. Yeah, congratulations on your P2, and we'll speak to you soon.
Yeah, thank you.
And then lastly on the podium, we'll bring in the 95 of Eric Blix. Eric, as ever, you are so strong, so consistent in this championship, getting a strong result once more. Of course, you are pushing Jonas to the line back at Daytona. You finished behind him, and you do so for the second race running here in third place today. How was it out there on the track being so hot and having to manage the car quite a lot?
Yeah, most of the race was pretty much like a transport mission. Like, yeah, I mean, it was kind of a snooze fest. You had to watch out for the tires. You couldn't push at all. Car stepped out. Yeah, that was the stint gone pretty much. We did some practice on Monday when like a lot of people got punctures from just running around.
Yeah, crikey, it was very long stints. What I was going to ask you about that was, were you really expecting that to go green flag for so long? Because, of course, we had the first caution, but that was basically when you were going to make the pit stop anyway. So that was perfectly timed. And then we had over 100 laps after that. So was that something that you were expecting for it to be a bit more of a calm race?
I mean, it's been kind of the pattern in this series. Like, the harder the combo is, the cleaner the racing is, because people are, I guess, busy just fighting their own car instead of fighting their next door neighbor all the time. So yeah, I kind of expect it to go long. It's not like it doesn't award hard racing this combo, it felt like.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a tough one out there. We go forward to Dover, and of course you and your teammates, you're all looking good for the round of 10 now. So is there anything extra that you can focus on, or are you just looking to execute at the best team result? Because you seem to always find yourself on the track and work as a team.
Yeah, it's been kind of the pattern since we got together as a team. Always end up together. Usually I was saying Jonas finish either behind me or in front of me. And Dover, I mean, it's been a good track for the whole team. A lot of previous battles, especially with the Force team, and a lot of drivers from the now Bright team. So that's going to be a lot of fun, actually.
Yeah, certainly is. Can't wait to see what happens there in a couple of weeks' time. So yeah, congratulations on your podium, and we'll see you then.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. And that concludes the interviews today from a pretty interesting race at Las Vegas. A couple of cautions coming out perfectly timed. One in the first pit stop, one to bring out a green-white checker at the end, but it was Jesper Eriksson who was able to hold on into the round of 10, and just one more race next time in a couple of weeks at Dover to find out who the 10 drivers are going to be for the next stage. But that's it from here, from us at RaceSpotTV. We'll see you at Dover in a couple of weeks' time, but don't forget, next week we have the second round of the GT3 Road Course Series as well. Same time, same place, 8 p.m. CT here on RaceSpotTV. It's been myself, Cam Roger, Ewan O'Leary alongside me, and Hugo Louise on the production of this RaceSpotTV broadcast. And until next time, we wish you a very warm goodbye.